All right, get ready for this, everyone, because today we're going deep, and I mean deep, into the world of out-of-body experiences.
OBEs, right.
Exactly, OBEs. And to guide us on this journey, we have the legend himself, Robert Monroe.
A true pioneer in the field. His book, Journeys Out of the Body, is basically the Bible for anyone seriously interested in this stuff.
Absolutely. We're diving into some excerpts from it today, and let me tell you, this guy doesn't hold back. He shares everything, his personal experiences, the nitty-gritty of his experiments, even his own personal notes and analysis.
It's remarkable, isn't it, the way he blends these first-hand accounts with the scientist's analytical mind. I mean, talk about meticulous documentation. He approaches this incredibly complex subject with this fascinating mix of scientific curiosity and genuine personal reflection.
It's really what makes his work so compelling, even for someone who's just dipping their toes into this whole world of OBEs.
Totally agree. You really feel like you're right there with him on this journey of discovery.
One thing that really jumped out at me, and he talks about this a lot, is the sensation of vibration that seems to be a big part of these out-of-body experiences.
Yeah, it's the recurring theme, isn't it? This intense, tingling energy, almost like your whole being is buzzing.
Exactly. And it often seems to be a precursor to actually leaving the physical body. Makes you wonder, what's going on in the brain and body during these experiences?
It's a question that's puzzled researchers for a long time. Some believe it could be linked to these altered states of consciousness, maybe reflecting shifts in brainwave activity or, like you said, some kind of energy flow within the body.
It's so intriguing. And the fact that similar sensations are reported across different cultures and spiritual practices just adds another layer to the mystery, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It speaks to something beyond just, individual imagination. There's something deeper going on here.
Right. So we've got this intense vibration, and then there's this feeling of separating from yourself, actually leaving your physical body behind. Can you imagine that?
It's like stepping outside your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Monroe's idea localis comes in. He uses this term to describe what he sees as different realms of existence.
Different dimensions of reality, almost.
Okay.
So break it down for us.
Sure. So he talks about localis, which is essentially our everyday world, the reality we experience through our five senses. But then there's locale sec, and this is where things start to get really wild.
All right. So locale is like the familiar everyday world. What makes locale calisthenics so different? What's it like?
Imagine a place where the normal laws of physics, the ones we take for granted, well, they don't quite apply in the same way.
Like time and space work differently.
Exactly. Time might not flow in a linear way. You could witness events out of sequence or experience this expanded sense of now and distances. Objects, they might appear distorted, their size and shape defying our usual perception.
Whoa. Okay, so localised is like stepping into a reality where the rules are totally different.
It's like stepping off the edge of the map into uncharted territory. And it doesn't stop there.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. He describes a locale the third.
A locale. Okay, you've got to tell us about this. What's that like?
Imagine a parallel world, but not one from our past or future. It has its own separate history, technologies, even societies, completely distinct from our timeline.
So not just a different dimension, but a whole other reality running parallel to our own.
Exactly. It makes you question everything we think we know about the nature of reality itself. What if our reality isn't the only one? What if there are infinite parallel universes coexisting alongside ours, each with its own unique set of rules and possibilities?
It's mind-blowing to even think about. Okay, so we've got these out-of-body experiences, these different realms of reality. But Monroe didn't just explore these realms alone, did he? He talks about encountering other beings, right?
He does. And these encounters, they're some of the most fascinating and perplexing parts of his work. He describes meeting both benevolent and malevolent beings, some who seem to offer guidance, and others that evoke a sense of fear or even danger.
Yeah, like those entities he calls suckers. They always creep me out a bit.
Right. He compares them to these parasitic fish latching onto him, trying to drain his energy. It's unsettling, for sure. But these encounters, even the frightening ones, they highlight a really important aspect of exploring these realms, the fear barrier.
It makes sense, right? I mean, venturing into the unknown, whether it's physically or mentally, it's bound to trigger some fear. So what did Monroe have to say about this fear barrier? How do we overcome it?
Well, he suggests that it's not about eliminating fear entirely, but about understanding it, confronting it. He believed that by acknowledging our fears, understanding where they come from, we can then choose to move forward despite them.
So it's about facing our fears head on, not letting them paralyze us. It's about trusting the process even when things get a little scary.
Exactly. It's a process of self-discovery, and it's essential for anyone who wants to explore these uncharted territories of consciousness.
And Monroe had these incredible precognitive experiences too, these moments where he'd see things before they happened. It's like catching glimpses of the future. He called them air hiss valve moments, and he often described hearing this distinct hissing sound just before these visions would hit him.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We might call them precognitive experiences today, the ability to perceive future events. And the fact that he had these specific sensory details, like the hissing sound, suggests there might be an actual physiological component to these experiences.
Right, like it's not just his mind playing tricks on him. It's almost like a physical sensation is accompanying these glimpses into the future.
It really blurs the lines between what we consider mind and matter. Makes you wonder, what if our consciousness isn't bound by the conventional flow of time as we understand it? What if we have the potential to access information beyond our normal senses, beyond the present moment?
It's like something out of a science fiction movie, but the way Monroe describes it, you can't help but wonder, what if it's true?
That's the beauty of his work. He takes these seemingly impossible concepts and grounds them in his own personal experiences, making you question everything you thought you knew about reality and the potential of the human mind.
And he doesn't just present these ideas as fact, does he? He grapples with them, questions them, analyzes them from every angle.
Absolutely. He's honest about his doubts, his struggles to make sense of it all. It's that intellectual honesty that makes his work so compelling, so relatable. He's not trying to convince you of anything, just inviting you to explore these extraordinary possibilities alongside him.
I can only imagine how disorienting those air hiss valve moments must have been for him. Like you're suddenly hit with this vision of the future. How do you even process that?
Right, and then try making sense of it, right? Because our minds, they crave patterns, explanations. So even when we experience something completely outside our normal framework, we try to fit it in somehow.
He talks about that, doesn't he? About how our preconceived notions can really shape our interpretation of these experiences.
Definitely. He uses this great example this one time when he encountered a complex scientific device in locale the second. But because of its shape, his mind initially perceived it as a child's toy.
It's like our brains taking a shortcut, relying on familiar references, even if they don't quite match up.
Exactly. Our minds are always looking for those shortcuts, those easy categories. But what if, to really grasp the true nature of these other realms, we need to approach them with a fresh perspective, like we're seeing them for the very first time?
It's like those optical illusions, where you can see two completely different images depending on how you look at it. Maybe it's about shifting our perception, learning to see past those ingrained patterns, those mental shortcuts.
Totally. And that's where Monroe's emphasis on self-reflection comes in. It wasn't enough for him to just have these experiences. He wanted to understand them, to dissect them, to figure out what was really going on. He meticulously analyzed his own thoughts, his emotions, even his past experiences, searching for those hidden connections.
Like he was treating himself as a research subject, constantly experimenting on himself, always questioning, always pushing the boundaries of his own understanding. It's a pretty amazing level of dedication.
And it's what sets his work apart. He's not trying to tell you what to believe. He's sharing his own personal journey, encouraging others to embark on their own exploration, to question their own experiences, and to draw their own conclusions.
So, for those of us who are intrigued by all of this, who might even want to experience these realms for ourselves, did he offer any guidance, any techniques for inducing these out-of-body states?
He did talk about some techniques for reaching what he called the vibrational state, which he believed was crucial for separating from the physical body. These techniques often involve relaxation methods, focusing exercises, sometimes even using specific sounds or visualizations.
Like guided meditations or binaural beats, things like that.
Exactly. But he always emphasized that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Everyone's experience is unique. It's about finding what works for you.
It's like he's handing you a map and a compass, but reminding you that the terrain might look different for everyone.
That's a great way to put it. And that inner landscape he talks about, it's just as fascinating as those external realms he describes.
You mean our own inner world?
Exactly. He suggests that they're interconnected, that exploring our inner world, our thoughts, our emotions, it could be the key to unlocking those expanded states of awareness.
It's like that saying, as within, so without.
Yes. And speaking of those external realms, we've talked about locale a second,
Yeah.
but he also had these really intriguing encounters in locale a third, that parallel world with its own unique societies and history.
Right. And what's interesting is that he didn't just observe Locale the Third. He actually interacted with it in some pretty profound ways.
It's true. He describes these experiences where he finds himself inhabiting the bodies of individuals in locale the third, experiencing their lives, their emotions, their reality from their perspective.
Whoa, so he wasn't just a passive observer. He was embodying those alternate realities. That's wild. It's like something out of a science fiction movie, but instead of some advanced technology, it's his consciousness that's making that leap.
That's a great analogy, and it really makes you think, what are the limits of consciousness? What if our minds are capable of far more than we can even imagine? Monroe's experiences suggest that consciousness isn't bound by our physical bodies, that it can transcend time and space, even merge with other consciousnesses.
It really throws everything we think we know about reality out the window. It's both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
Absolutely. And remember that encounter he described in Locale II, where he was searching for his friend, Dr. Gordon, after his passing.
Oh, yeah. The one where he's told, the doctor will see you in a minute, like he's in some kind of waiting room in the afterlife.
Exactly. And he even described seeing a young man who resembled a younger Dr. Gordon, as if his friend's soul had reverted to an earlier version of itself.
It's such a strange and powerful image. And the fact that he was overcome by this intense heat and had to retreat before he could speak with his friend, it's almost like he got a glimpse of something he wasn't quite ready to face.
Perhaps. It really makes you think about death and the possibility of an afterlife. Do we retain our memories, our personalities, our sense of self? Monroe's experiences don't offer any definitive answers, but they definitely raise some interesting questions about the nature of consciousness and what happens after we die.
For sure. It makes you wonder, what if death isn't the end, but just a transition to another realm, another state of being?
It's a question that's fascinated humans for centuries, and Monroe's experiences offer a unique and thought-provoking perspective on this age-old mystery.
Okay, so we've talked about Locale the Third, those encounters with other beings, the possibility of connecting with those who have passed. But what about Locale the Third? This realm seems even more mysterious, even more difficult to grasp than Locale the Third.
Locale the Third is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just a slightly different dimension or realm of spirits, it's a completely separate reality with its own history, technologies, even its own unique societies.
And if I remember correctly, he said it wasn't necessarily more advanced than our own reality, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He described their cars as being larger and more spacious, but they lacked things like electricity, which we consider a basic necessity today. It challenges our linear view of progress, suggesting that what we perceive as advancement isn't the only path.
So, a completely different evolutionary trajectory leading to a reality that's both familiar and utterly alien at the same time. It's like something out of a Philip K. Dick novel.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, what if our reality is just one of an infinite number of possibilities, each with its own unique set of rules and potentialities?
The idea of a multiverse, not just as a theoretical concept in physics, but as something that might actually be accessible through these altered states of consciousness, it's truly mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling, and it challenges everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality.
It really makes you think about what's possible, doesn't it? Like, what if there are countless versions of ourselves out there, each navigating their own unique reality?
It's a wild thought, isn't it? And it makes you wonder about the nature of time itself. If these parallel universes exist, are they happening simultaneously with our own, just vibrating at a different frequency, or are they on their own separate timelines?
It's enough to make your head spin. But, okay, so Locale the Third, this parallel reality, how was Monroe even able to tap into it? What allowed him to cross those boundaries of perception?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? He believed the key was accessing what he called the second state.
The second state. What's that?
It's basically this altered state of consciousness where our normal, everyday awareness starts to dissolve, and we're able to perceive things beyond the limitations of our physical senses.
And he talked a lot about overcoming the fear barrier, right? Like, we have these deep-seated fears about the unknown, about death, that can prevent us from truly exploring these other realms.
Exactly. He believed that fear was a major obstacle, not just the fear of leaving our bodies, but the fear of what we might discover about ourselves, about the nature of reality itself.
So it's not just about relaxation techniques or visualization exercises. It's about confronting those deep-seated fears, about expanding our beliefs about what's possible.
Absolutely. It's about inner exploration as much as anything else. It's about pushing past our comfort zones, challenging our assumptions, and being willing to embrace the unknown.
And he even suggests that there's a part of us, what he calls the supermind, that's already comfortable in these other realms that doesn't perceive them as strange or frightening.
It's like a deeper level of awareness, an intuitive part of ourselves that's already connected to these expanded realities.
And maybe the goal is to bridge that gap, to connect our conscious minds with this supermind, so we can access those other realms with the same ease and familiarity.
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? And it makes you wonder, what are we truly capable of if we could tap into that deeper level of awareness, that interconnectedness?
So where does all of this leave us? What can we take away from Monroe's explorations into these extraordinary realms of experience?
I think his work, while challenging, ultimately invites us to question everything we thought we knew about reality, about consciousness, or the very nature of our existence. He encourages us to explore the uncharted territories of our own minds and to consider the possibility that we're capable of so much more than we've ever imagined.
It's about embracing the unknown, approaching these mysteries with a sense of curiosity and wonder, recognizing that the journey of exploration is just as important as the destination, maybe even more so.
Absolutely. And who knows what we might discover along the way. Monroe's work is a testament to the power of human curiosity, the incredible potential of the human mind, and the boundless possibilities that emerge when we dare to venture beyond the limitations of our current understanding.
It's an invitation to embark on our own journeys of self-discovery, to explore the hidden dimensions within and beyond ourselves, and to remember, as Monroe himself put it, we are more than we know.